You're watching the Bronx Journal, the BronxNet television edition of the multilingual community newspaper, published by the students and faculty of the Journalism, Communication, and Theater Department at Lehman College. In print and on television, the Bronx Journal covers the issues concerning the people of the Bronx. Do you want to know what's going on in the Bronx? Are you interested in Bronx politics, sports, and entertainment? Are you interested in Bronx personalities? Do you want to keep up with the latest business or cultural trends? In the Bronx Journal, we have the answers. Now here's your host, the Bronx Journal's editor-in-chief, Professor Miguel Perez.
The Caribbean Taino Indians are still part of our culture, or Latino culture in New York. We see their influence in the way we dress and the way they taste in tasting our food and the instruments we hear. We hear their instruments. And now there is a DNA study that says that they may still be in our blood. Today on the Bronx Journal, we will look into this study, and we will also explore the history of Taino Indians and how they are more of a part of our culture, our society, than we actually thought. And I'm joined by National Museum of American Indian exhibitor, curator, Jorge Esteves, a musician who is also a historian on Taino Indians, Ilka Mateo, and members of the Maisi Yucayeke organization, Taino organization, Roman Perez, and also Luis Ramos, president of another organization, the Taino Earth Prayer Lodge Society. Welcome. I got through all of those names and all through all those titles. Thank you for being on the program. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
And we welcome on this program and at this university the opportunity to share Taino culture with the people of the Bronx. We want this to be an educational experience for everyone, including myself. I am here to learn. And so please tell us a little bit, Mr. Esteves, please tell us a little bit about who were the Taino Indians and where did they live?
Well, the Taino Indians, I wouldn't say that they were, it's who we are.
Okay.
We're very much
First
still here.
correction right there.
There you go, right off the bat. Well, the Taino people, or what we call the classic Taino, which were the people that Columbus encountered in 1492, were a mixture of a bunch of different peoples that had entered the Caribbean stretching over 7,000 years. And these were the people that Columbus basically encountered. It was a mixture of all these different people that became the Taino.
What islands were they?
Well, they stretched all the way from the Bahamas to Jamaica, from Cuba, all the way to Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the major Antilles.
Okay, and why is it that people, and you can answer this question as well, why is it, all of you can answer this question, why are so many people under the impression that the Taino Indians were extinguished?
Well, that has a lot to do with historical inaccuracies. Certainly, the history is written by the conqueror, not by the conquered. And basically, since the very beginning, before 1492, there were no Indians living in the Americas, because Indians, that the name didn't apply to the people, the aboriginal peoples of the hemisphere. As soon as Columbus landed, he called people Indians, then we became Indians. Later on, we became Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and so on and so on. So in every stage of history, we're labeled as something different. And this is how basically, bit by bit, we get written out of the picture.
Also, I think like just being written out of history, from the books, what the kids read in school today is that the Tainos are extinct. That's the first thing that comes out. And today we're proving that differently, but that's where a lot of the people get their beliefs from.
How do people know, what is out there in New York that we can see every day that's Taino, and you guys who know can identify, look, that comes from our roots, that's our heritage. Is that very common, things that you see in the way people dress, in the food that we eat? Is that the kind of stuff that you can easily identify?
Every single time that you eat yuca, that's something that's very Taino. The words that we speak on a daily basis, you'd be surprised how many.
Part of our vocabulary.
Yeah, our language is very influenced by Taino language, to a greater extent than most people actually understand. Everything from chin chin, which is something that we use in the Caribbean to say a little bit, that's a Taino word, and the names of most of the towns in the Caribbean are of Taino extraction. So it's a very deep influence, linguistic influence.
So if I say I have to hurry up porque solamente me queda un chin,
Chin, chin.
I'm speaking Taino.
That's, well, part of it, yes. Well.
There you go. Luis Ramos, tell us about the spiritual side of the Taino experience. I understand that this is your specialty.
Yeah. Well, as a community social worker and also as a chaplain, I've been privileged to enter people's homes 4 or 5 years now. And one thing I've discovered is that the Taino is very much alive, the spirituality. Many people I've encountered have their Indian statue in the corner with the water, the cigar, and the yuca, and so on, the casabi bread. And as I conversate with people, I realize the spirituality of our people, Taino, is very much alive. And sometimes people can't say this is Taino, but they just live it. So last year I had the idea, let me put a website up, the Taino Earth Prayer Lodge Society, which I've been praying over for many years to organize, and see what happens. And believe it or not, I got a lot of emails, tons of emails from people throughout the United States, some in the Caribbean, who are yearning to express this Taino identity, spirituality. They're looking for community, they're looking for support.
Is that something that's more common, that spirituality, that sense of society, of a group, more common in the Caribbean than it is in New York, or is it very prevalent here as well?
Wow, it's all over, yeah. I encountered it in Puerto Rico, I encountered it, Boniquén, I encountered it here in New York City. I mean, my first encounter was my great-grandmother, who used to blow cigar smoke to the indios, the spiritus, the spirit, the Indian spirits. And that was my first influence. So little by little, once I started connecting with friends who identify with this, Taino identity, man, it was right there. It was so natural. It was a flow. In Puerto Rico, you see it just as well.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit more about that, but we want to meet your colleague here, Ilka, and she's here with a whole bunch of incredible instruments that she was playing right before we began, and it was the sound of this thing is amazing. It sounds like a drum, but it's a piece of wood.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show, and tell me about the music of the Taino.
It is a piece of wood, but it's an instrument, and the name is Mayohuacan. This is one of the instruments that we have in heritage, and this is, as you just said, is made of wood, and it's carved.
On the
yes,
side.
inside. Okay. See, so that makes the sound. And we have
What
this.
is the sound? Show us the sound that it makes.
You play with these sticks of rubber, the rubber in the points, so it makes a very nice sound. If you play it this side, it's different, you see? So this makes all the magic, this rubber.
Does that more or less take the place of a drum, or do the Tainos have drums of their own?
This is the Taino drum.
This is a Taino drum.
And another instrument that we have of Taino culture are the maracas that is played all over Latin America.
And is that original? I mean, can we say that they started with the natives of the Caribbean?
Yes. They have this kind of maraca that are played like this by the Indians. And we have another kind of maraca that was for ceremonial purposes that was different because it was made with a piece of wood in the center, but it was open, but it could not go out. It was open and tied here, and so we had two different maracas. And another instrument that we have is the guamo, is the shell that he will maybe blow it.
When I was a kid,